3,451 students. In December 2021, there were 3,496 students.
Thank you. I am going to save my president's remarks for the second opportunity for president's remarks. Since we have a presentation this evening, we will move right into the administrative report.
Are we reading that statement or not?
What?
Should I read the statement?
Yes, well, Ally would not read it, or can you want to certify that it then? Or do you want to
I can read
certify?
it.
Okay.
I, Allison Williams, the Assistant Business Administrator, Board Secretary, certifies that as of December 31st, 2022, no line item has been overexpended in violation of NJAC 6A 23A-1610C3, and that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Bully?
Since communications included enrollment, I just want to point out, because it will become relevant as we go into our budget conversations at the next meeting, our enrollment is leveling out. Where we were in a decline, we are leveled and are seeing an increase of students registering in the district, very much so at the preschool level. And I'll share more of that in the budget presentation when it comes. There's a significant enrollment increase. Our ECLC is at 119 students. That's the high, beyond highest it's ever been. And we're anticipating we have about 20 referrals between now and the end of the school year. And K-8 as well, we're taking in new enrollments in pockets across the district. So at this point, when you compare to last year, the difference is only 43. Where where years prior, it's been much higher at 100, 200, 300. But we'll talk more about that in February. January is Board of Education Appreciation Month. On behalf of the Central Office Administrators, I would like to express my gratitude for the support this Board of Education provides to the administrators, staff, and students of this district. The members of this board have extremely high expectations for us and challenge our thinking on a regular basis. Whether it be through questioning data, specific recommendations that we have, or through discussions regarding curriculum and policies and other issues, the individual members of this board push us to make us better administrators. They hold us to a high level of accountability to ensure that we are providing our students with the best possible education, addressing their needs both collectively and individually in a safe and positive environment. They dedicate their time and efforts to this board without financial compensation. To say we're grateful to the members of this Board of Education would be an understatement. Joining me in showing our appreciation to the board is Jennifer Benbrook on behalf of the Freehold Township Administrators Association.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Oh, no. Gonna sit.
Okay.
All right, now you're good. I apologize for my back. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the administrators here in Freehold Township, we want to personally thank each and every member of our Board of Education for the tireless dedication and work that you do each and every day. We realize that your job sometimes feels thankless, but we recognize your service not just during the month of January, but all year. And we know that the challenges that come before you are left at the door when you come to the table with the same common purpose to ensure that our students have the best possible education here in Freehold Township. So we are truly grateful. On behalf of the administrators, we have two tokens of acknowledgement and appreciation. First, each of you should have received a letter. Our organization has made a donation in your honor to the Freehold Township Education Foundation. The Freehold Township Education Foundation echoes the goals and the visions of our district and has partnered with our school community and Board of Education. So it's only fitting that the work that you do is recognized with a donation. In addition, each of you see that you have been presented with a very unique bonsai tree. That was purposely selected because the bonsai tree does parallel with the work that we do here in education and the work that you do in your role. So your guidance and dedication to our district ensures that each child grows strong roots, just like this bonsai. Students, like this tree, choose its own directions to go and grow, resulting in beautifully unique individuals. We as educators help them to navigate through every twist and turn throughout their growth and development. A bonsai symbolizes wisdom and peace, something that we wish for all of our children. Care for a bonsai takes great patience, nurturing, feeding, and love, just as your service has allowed us to do for our children. Your timeless dedication to education and support for all that we do directly results in the success of all of our students, and we truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you.
And to express appreciation on behalf of the Freehold Township Education Association, President Lisa Johnston.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations, as we express our gratitude to you. Lisa Johnston, Freehold Township Education Association President. So on behalf of all of our members, we would like to thank you for your time, your effort, and all the talents that you bring, literally and figuratively, to the table, to the board. You always have the student and the community at your heart and for your best, and we appreciate that. The past several years have been very difficult, not just for the board and the community, but for the staff and the students. We moved ahead. We stuck to what we needed to do. You kept the staff as healthy and safe as possible. We kept our kids in school, which was our major task. As we're getting back into normal, we're seeing that the gaps are starting to be filled. So we appreciate all of the support that we get from the board for all of that as well. Once again, your dedication is greatly appreciated. We also appreciate that as the board, you remain objective. We are a public school. We follow the laws that we need to. They're not always easy to follow, but we follow them. As staff members, we know that as well. All of our employees know that. And we appreciate that you support us through our negotiations. And as being employees, that we really are all on the same page. It takes a village, okay, from lots of different perspectives, and we're all on the same team. So bottom line, as Ms. Brinberg said, the best interest of our students and our staff are always at the center of everything that we do. So we truly would like to thank you and enjoy your treats. So Mike digging in there saying, what we got here? So we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As you may be aware, ECLC and all of our elementary schools are participating in the One District, One Book initiative. While each schools have a different plan to implement the process, many of our schools, in order to enhance our school family partnerships, will be hosting events filled with activities around the book for parents, families, and students and staff. I hope that our students and parents join us for these fun and worthwhile activities. And then I have the bullying report. Since the last meeting, which has been over a month since we reported, we've received 21 reports of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. 15 were confirmed and 6 were unfounded. Sorry, I would now turn it over to Mrs. Montgomery to do the presentation on the Start Strong assessment results.
Watch your heads, the screen is going to come down.
Yep, we'll move.
Sit back. I'm going to apologize.
Can you move me?
Move you.
Watch your head, Michelle. Thank you. Good evening. As required by the New Jersey Department of Education, I'm here this evening to share with you our district's results from the fall administration of the Start Strong assessment. First, I want to tell you a little bit about Start Strong and why it is administered. Start Strong was developed in response to COVID. We had 2 years of students in or out and out of school or hybrid in school, where the spring NJSLA assessment was not able to be administered.
And as a result, when students returned to school last fall, many districts, not this one, across the state, were unable to measure where students were at in terms of instructional gaps. So the state developed this Start Strong assessment. It measured students' proficiency levels on the previous year's standards. So fourth grade students were tested on third grade standards, fifth grade students tested on fourth grade standards, and so on. The assessment identified 3 levels of support. Students either needed some support, strong support, or less support, which is different than the proficiency levels of the NJSLA or the MAP assessment that we give. And the goal of administering this test was to identify where students were at the start of the school year so that schools could use this data in a timely way to make targeted instructional decisions for kids if there were instructional gaps. Please recognize about these support levels that they do not align with NJSLA. NJSLA, as I reported in the fall for the spring assessment, is measured, student proficiency is measured across 5 proficiency levels, just like MAP. So these 2 assessments are not aligned in that regard. So these 2 assessments are not designed to be comparative, and we shouldn't look to Start Strong as a predictor of how kids will do on NJSLA. It's apples and oranges. So as I said, how are we to be using this data? So districts provide this data, or the state provides this data back to school districts in an effort for schools to use the information to provide targeted instruction for students. The test consists of 10 questions, so it does not measure performance across all standards at every grade level, but gives rather a snapshot of how students did relative to the previous year's standards. While we administer Start Strong and are, certainly compliant with the expectations of the Department of Education, we as a district made a concerted effort to do more comprehensive assessing of students in light of the fact that this data is not as meaningful, right? So as a district, we administer the MAP growth assessment. We do that 3 times a year in the fall, the winter, and the spring, and that measures students' performance across or against the grade level standards across both math and language arts. The data is available to us almost immediately upon completing the assessment and allows teachers, administrators, interventionists at the school level to design targeted instruction. So while we are giving the Start Strong assessment and I am presenting this data to you, as a district, we have much more comprehensive and meaningful data available to us in a more timely way in our MAP assessment that we do. Sure. This was given end of September, beginning of October. Yep. So individual student results are available almost immediately in the platform. So we can log in and see how Kerry did on question number 7 related to a standard, but the comprehensive school-based and district-based reports were not published till December. And I am required to present them to you within 60 days of that. Oh, it's halfway through the school year, and here I am telling you about how our kids did. Right. Welcome. Thank you. This is our performance of our students' language arts. So you'll see the grade levels down the sides. Again, unlike NJSLA, we're testing grades 4 through 8, not 3 through 8. And the grade 4 students are taking the assessment around 3rd grade standards. So the left-hand column, strong support may be needed. Which one is mine? It's not working. The strong support may be needed. The level 1, those are our students who are who performed at the lowest proficiency level. So you can see across the bottom, about 25% of our 4 through 8 population of students require some strong support in the area of language arts. And I need strong support in the area of clickers. Thank you. This is that same data visually, right? So we have graphs across the bottom for grade level, and then the graph at the far right is all of the grades comprehensively. The green bar being the students that need the least amount of support. This is our student data around mathematics. Again, grades 4 through 8. We also include algebra, although the algebra kids are 9th graders, right? The kids take algebra in 8th grade, and they're already gone to the high school. So this isn't, again, a measure that is comprehensive or meaningful in terms of what our kids are taking. They're taking, the test that they're taking as 8th graders is 7th grade math, or if they're in algebra, they're taking the 8th grade math that they took as 7th graders, pre-algebra. Again, 25% of our students requiring strong support. Science, which we talked a lot about when we did the NJSLE presentation, students in 6th grade are taking this with us. NJSLA, they take science as 5th graders and 8th graders. So 9th graders are kids who already moved on to high school, took the 8th grade portion of this as 9th graders in high school. 32% of our 6th graders, or 5th graders, needed strong support in the area of science. The other thing I'm required to report is how our subgroups of students did, right? So this is, again, when we go back to the NJFLA data that I shared with you earlier in the fall, this is how, when we disaggregate our data and we look at kids across race, across program needs, across gender, those subgroups, this is how our students performed. You will notice those gray bars. There are some times where our student population in a particular subgroup falls below a particular number. That number is usually 10 or 12. When that number falls, in the 10 or 12 range, we are required to redact that data, because that then we could potentially identify who those students are, because it's such a small population. In mathematics. This is programs, so subgroup related to program. These are our students who are economically disadvantaged, students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, our students who qualify for a Section 504 plan, our English language learners, and our special education students, and obviously our general education students, if they don't require any of those other programs. Again, in elementary school and middle school for language arts. And then for that. Go ahead, Rob. Put your mic on. I'm going to turn the lights on.
Will you be giving the same test, let's say in February, so that you could see if there's any growth between September and now with all the interventions?
I will not be giving Start Strong again, because the state doesn't require it. The state only requires us to give it in September. We will be giving our math growth assessment, which we do 3 times a year. We do a fall, a winter. We're actually right at the tail end right now, in the middle of our winter math assessment window. So the short answer is yes. We are giving a mid-year assessment to measure how kids are growing from their fall assessment to the winter assessment, and then we will do another one in the springtime.
Okay,
We
great.
use math for that. Start Strong doesn't give us the same comprehensive data that math does.
Okay, good.
Becky? Becky, you said in the presentation that the data was longitudinal. So presumably this same test, I believe we had the same presentation last year. This was given last September as well, right? The Start Strong?
Yes, it was.
So how does the data this time compare to the
It's
2020,
not, it's not longitudinal. They are not tracking it from year to year.
I believe on the first slide it said that the purpose of it is to provide longitudinal data to teachers.
Yes, it is. However, the state isn't providing that to us.
So we don't know.
Correct. I mean,
That would be helpful.
I could do that,
Okay.
but the state is not providing us that. Like, so as I do annually with the NJSLA, I give you a slide of like how our kids did this year compared to previous years.
Right.
The state
That's
did
what
not
I was
provide
looking
that. Yeah,
for.
they didn't give
Okay.
that to us. I could go back and do that for you, but I didn't this evening, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just curious to know how, because I think so many of us have our eyes on COVID and the impact of COVID and, you know, the interventions that we have put in place and all of the good work that we've done. So I'd just love to know how that may have differed statistically.
So I can do two things. I can look at it through Start Strong for you, and share that with you, separately or next month. The other thing, again, that I think would probably be more meaningful is in the springtime when I provide you a presentation around our map growth for the year. I can look at map growth from like, not just fall to spring of this year, but fall to fall, winter to winter, spring to, so we can look at the 2 years post-COVID to see how our
And-
kids did.
With MAP, with all of the assessments, sometimes I forget which one is which. We're following the same group of students, or are we comparing sixth graders this year to sixth graders last year?
MAP is growth, so we're looking at individual
same
student
student.
growth.
Okay, thank you.
Can I also?
So even if we were to compare our Start Strong this year with our Start Strong last year, I'm thinking that because the test is so limited
It's 10
and
questions.
selective in terms of what it tests, I wonder what the value would be.
I don't know that, because I don't know that if, I mean, again, I would have to go back. I don't know that the same 10 standards or the same 10 questions around standards or strands last year would be the same as this year. So again, I can look, it will just take me some time to comb through.
But
think-
but
I think-
MAP gives us that, right? Because MAP is like nationally
Yes.
normed. Yeah.
Yes.
I think the best way to achieve what you're asking is to do the MAP spring presentation based upon, and then you'll see the growth over time.
Comparatively look at that over time for you.
Becky, I have a question. Were the same exemptions made for like special ed for the kids who don't take NJSLA because of DLM, or were they taking Start Strong as well? And same with ELL, was it English, or did they have to take it?
So the same requirements exist.
Okay.
So for our students, our English language learners who are new to the country as of July 1,
Mhm.
they don't have to take it.
Okay.
Our ELLs, they don't, but they can take math and Spanish, but they only have Spanish. So like our Ukrainian students still have to take it in either English or, they could take it in Spanish, sure, that's helpful. They make no exception for the language arts test. Regardless of what your native language is, you must take it in English.
So, but you were not testing kids who were not here
New to the
last year.
country, right?
Okay.
They are new to the country as of July 1. So interestingly, we had students in the district who registered in May or April.
Okay.
Because they registered prior to July 1, they were required to take the assessment.
And then for special ed, if you had if you normally take the
If you had
DLM,
waiver, then you did not have to take
Okay.
it. Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the first opportunity for public participation. If anyone wishes to address the board, please step to the podium, state your name for the record, write your name and address on the sign-in sheet for our records, and statements are limited to 3 minutes in length, should not be abusive, obscene, or defamatory. As you know, the board gives 2 opportunities for public participation. The first opportunity is to address the board on items that are on the agenda tonight. So if you have a question regarding anything on the agenda this evening, please step to the podium. Anyone? Okay. No takers. So with that, then we'll move on to the Personnel Committee. Ms. O'Sullivan?
We met as a committee, and the following people were in attendance: Dr. Brethauer, Neil Gargiulio, Meg Thuman, and myself. We discussed the agenda items. We also discussed staff and salary adjustments, substitute teachers, training and interviewing, and HR staff analysis. Okay. Number 3, retirements. as listed. So moved. I'd like to move number 4, resignations, as listed. Number 5, new employment, as listed. Number 6, salary adjustments, as listed for 2022-2023. Number 7, salary adjustments, as listed. Number 8, temporary change of assignment, salary adjustment and amendment, update, as listed. Change of assignment and salary adjustments, number 9, as listed. Number 10, change of assignment, as listed. Number 11, extended long-term assignment, as listed. Number 12, extend, change long-term assignments, as listed. Number 13, long-term substitutes, as listed. Number 14, leave of absence, as listed. Number 15, unpaid days, as listed. Number 16, district mentor, as listed. 17, additional compensations, as listed. 18, stipend teacher assistants, as listed. 19, task teams, as listed. Number 20, PTO honoraria, as listed. Number 21, district honoraria, as listed. 22, PBS coaches, updates, as listed. And that's it. 23, the curriculum committee, as listed. And that's it.
24.
Did we extend it for more on this? 24, termination substitutes and employment as listed. 25, certified substitutes as listed. And now I think we're done.
Yes.
Oh, only at the bottom. Non-certified substitutes as listed. Now we're done. I know I like finance better.
I'd like to, I'd like to welcome to the district Victoria Folia, Kayla Geller, Mary Lou Hardy, Samantha Plakanica, and Linda Smith. We wish you good luck in your new employment. And we'd also like to give heartfelt congratulations to the retirements, the resignations for retirements. June Agnati with 22 years of service, Lorraine Belfiore with 25 years of service, Marcia Derman, 22 years of service, Susan Grimm, 18 years of service, Carla Hirschhorn, and Cynthia Wadota, each with 15 years of service. We thank you wholeheartedly for your service and we wish you a wonderful retirement. With that, does anybody have any questions for Ms. O'Sullivan or Dr. Breathauer? Okay. No, seeing none, can I have a second? And we'll do a roll call.
Mrs. Brand? Mrs. Cossolino?
Yes.
Mr. Gargiulo?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Thoman?
Yes.
Mrs. Vendatoli?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Amoroso?
Yes.
Mrs. Lambert?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank
Next, curriculum policy. Ms. Cozzolino?
Yes, the curriculum committee met tonight. Present were Mrs. Montgomery, Mr. Dickstein, Mr. Amoroso, Mr. Williams, and myself. We discussed the items on the agenda. In addition, we discussed some new curriculum committee postings. One is for the Atlas document review for CUSAC, which you saw on your agenda tonight. As we prepare for CUSAC, which we are due to be evaluated next year. That's a matter of just getting our Atlas documents in order. The middle school resource room toolkits. This will be a committee to design a toolkit to modify the gen ed curriculum so kids in resource room can receive the full benefit of the gen ed curriculum. And the third posting to come out in February, I believe,
Yes.
will be for the K-2 Reading Review Committee, where we will be looking at different pieces, different curriculum tools for K-2 reading.
Correct.
We also discussed the primary reading assessment. We're in the process of evaluating assessment tools for implementation with our early readers. We looked at Becky's team looked at NWEA MAP reading fluency test, which is 20 minutes. It will give us a standardized assessment that is nationally normed, so that we can target those those kids who are having difficulty with different aspects of reading. And also give us a dyslexia screener.
Yeah, it's a tool we will be administering if we decide to do it across the board, for all of our K-2 students.
And also, you said it gives us the ability, if we see a struggling reader in like
Correct.
third grade, we can then
So
use the
are
tool
you
there.
are you piloting it or experimenting with it,
We
or
are
just
we are in the process of piloting now, looking at, we administered the assessment to a handful of students in several elementary schools last week. I'll be looking at the data that it yielded with the curriculum team and making some recommendations moving forward from there.
Does this replace something that we used before, or is
It
this
will
in
re-
addition to?
It will replace some of the assessments that we currently do. If we choose it, it will replace some of the assessments that we currently do at the primary grades, yes, but not all of them.
But that is very good news, because
Yeah, I mean,
we've been
I
looking
I
toward
am-
that for a while.
Yeah, as Mary said, it has a component of a standardized dyslexia screener, which is something that we don't currently have in place.
In addition, we went over the Start Strong presentation and any questions committee members had. And we also went over if there were any questions on the second reading of the gifted and talented pupil policy, 2464. Any questions? Okay, I would like to move that, as well as number 3, course reimbursement as listed. Number 4, second reading of regulation 2464, gifted and talented pupils. Number 5, abolishment of the policy as listed. Number 6, student teacher practicum observations and placements as listed. Number 7, update student teacher practicum observation placement as listed. Number 8, home instruction as listed. And that's it. Do I need a second on that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was
Sorry,
asking
I
a
know.
quick question. Yeah. Any questions? I had a question. I guess I could say it out loud. I just want to make sure. I was questioning one of the course reimbursements. Nicholas Baudo, not questioning Nicholas per se, but just the relevancy of the courses, like why he needed to take those.
Yes.
It is for his certification. So in
And
case,
you got that? Okay.
yes, Neil explained it all to me. Yes. So I just wanted to make that public in case anybody else had the same question. Okay. So did we have a second?
We did.
Okay. We seconded? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to finance, facilities, and transportation.
That would be me.
Yes.
Okay. The Finance, Facilities, and Transportation Committee did meet last Wednesday. In attendance were myself, Mrs. Lambert, Mrs. Brand, Mrs. Williams, Mr. DeVita, and Mr. Dickstein did make a guest appearance. We discussed the rain tree transportation. Several homes in the development qualify for transportation to West Freehold, and it will begin on January 23rd. The BA certification motion, which you heard Ms. Williams read earlier, and the addition of payroll to the bills list. The committee discussed the need to change the BA certification and have it read by the BA, and add the payroll to the bill list on the board agenda. Personnel, we discussed the salary adjustments on tonight's agenda. We discussed the 23-24 budget, the upcoming budget development that's going to begin in February. Well, discussion begins in February. They've already started the development. Transfers, the committee discussed the transfers on tonight's agenda. Technology purchases, we discussed the need to purchase in the near future $100,000 worth of switches for the phone system. The current switches have reached the end of their useful life and are no longer under warranty. We discussed a fan favorite, the Future Chefs. Sodexo will host the Future Chef competition this year. It will be the first time it's been held since before the pandemic. The food services RFP. We discussed the upcoming food services RFP. The board will need to approve a motion to allow competitive contracting as per code in February. Once the specifications are built, the Department of Agriculture will review and approve the RFP. And then we must approve a vendor by May 31st. So we will begin developing a committee to review and score the RFPs. Let Bob know if you're interested. RFP schedule for professionals. We discussed that the board needs to develop an RFP schedule for professionals for NJ CUSAC, and we discussed the items on the agenda. Anyone have any questions?
I do. For the
course.
food service,
Mhm.
will he, because I know we discussed like a committee, with parents from the community too. Is that happening? Is that connected to that, or was that a different?
The wellness.
The wellness,
committee.
yeah.
It's two different.
They're two different things?
Yeah.
So what's a wellness committee going to be doing?
It's required by code. Ally, do you have this? I don't have the specifics in front of me of the
It's
roles.
members from the food. Might be easier if I pull the policy up. It's members from the community, which a few have reached out since the newsletter was sent out. A few members of the community have reached out. A few members of some phys ed teachers, people from all different departments and whatnot in the district, to sit with the Sodexo or the food service rep and figure out how we can change it a little bit or evaluate. I don't know. What am I trying to say?
It's critically analyzing and giving feedback for improvement.
Yeah.
Not related to the RFP process.
Totally separate.
Related to food service.
Right, so it's related to food service
For this wellness committee by policy.
to get input from stakeholders on food service. At the same
Existing food
time,
service.
existing food service, at the same time, the RFP is up to choose our food service vendor. So, but I could see how it could be a little confusing. Good question.
I just had a question about number 9, the task teams, referring to the SR2 funds. There's just no dollar amount there, so I was just wondering.
Each school is provided with what's left in the grant, a number of hours that that they can have maximum for their school. So then they put together, they are managing through a Google Doc, the total number of hours each month. It's not the total per staff member, it's a cumulative total of hours per month per school. And each school is different depending on what they requested to meet the needs of their students.
Okay. The way that it's listed here is just a little confusing because it said the following stipends, but then there was just no. But I get it.
That's a typo.
Mhm.
They're not set amount stipends, they're
As you work, you're paid
Task
the
teams as
Got
they
it.
work will be paid at the rate
Okay.
that the curriculum rate to do intervention services with kiddos.
Got it.
Sorry.
Okay. That's
I didn't
okay.
catch
I
that.
was just confused. Thank you.
understand.
Darn.
Okay.
Allie, I actually have a question for you. For number 4, bills and claims, because we added payroll, is when I read that, you want me to read them separately? You want me to read it together? You want me to do one and then the other and then a total?
One, the other, and a total.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can answer.
Whoever wants to answer, I'm good with that. So, if we have no additional questions, we're going to move the agenda items. Certifications, found some lost. Okay, the secretary and treasurer's report as listed. Bills and claims. So total bills in the amount of $3,966,892.46. Thank you, Mrs. O'Sullivan, for reviewing them. Payroll in the amount of $2,378,329.66 for a grand total of $6,345,222.12. That was a lot of twos. Number 5, travel and related expenses as listed, 1 through 28. Transfers as listed. Number 7, consultants as listed. Number 8, honoraria. Thank you to the Applegate PTO. Number 9, task teams, ESSR 2 as listed. Number 10, grant funded salary substitute stipends for 22-23 as listed. Number 11, fiscal year 2023 ESEA grant update as listed. Number 12, ESEA Title IV update. And that's it.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay. Old business, new business, president's remarks. So, platforming off what Neil mentioned earlier, our district-wide One Book initiative was kicked off, and I would urge all board members to get involved. I know Katina reached out for readers. Erickson's robot has been all over town. We saw the robot at the police station. We thank the people who put the robot in Jersey Freeze a lot. That was Romeo's this week. Yeah, I guess the robot likes food establishments. I urge the board and members of the public to keep track, follow the schools on Twitter. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's unifying, and it's fabulous. And the book is excellent. Like Elena, what did you say about it has morals, right, or something?
It's a great book. As I was talking to Ms. Benbrook before, from a teacher point of view, as a science teacher, it has a lot of information for the kids about ecology and animals and interactions. But then as you read deeper into the book, you flip and you can see that there's definitely a code of ethics, a sense of morals within the environment. And it's an easy way for our children to really understand how things work in a balance, balance of life. And I think once we get to go into the schools and see all the different activities that are being presented to everyone, that the kids by the 2 months from now, when it's finished, we really should talk to them again and see what did they really get from it. Because the kids are so different, they're going to have different personalities that read this book will show what they learn from it and what they can carry out as growing up into, teenagers, future adults, and just bring it forward and a development of being a good person. That's really what it is.
And I'll say, as a parent of a reluctant reader, he's very into this, especially with the scavenger hunt. Erickson's doing a scavenger hunt. They do a weekly trivia game, and he'll remind me, he'll be like, Mom, we got to read chapters or pages 55 through 79 tonight because trivia is tomorrow. So it's definitely brought out a side to some kids that I'm sure their parents don't normally see, because I usually have to make mine read, whereas now he wants to read. So it's been great. And, we definitely are enjoying the scavenger hunt. Maybe a little too much.
So
Yes.
I just want to add to that a huge thank you to the administrators at the elementary school and preschool and the teams that they've created in their schools to launch this. All of the schools have different launch plans and are doing it on different calendars. Some schools are launching it next week in conjunction with National Read Aloud Day. The preschool is doing their launch around their next unit of study, which is Simple Machines. So every school has found a really wonderful way to integrate this into their school community and have gathered kids and staff and families to do exactly what this initiative is intended, which is one district, one book, right? It's bringing us all together. So in in that vein, the central office administration have gifted to all of you a copy of The Wild Robot in your gift bags this evening,
thank
in
you.
the hopes that you will read it with us
Yes.
and enjoy. So thank you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you
And-
to
yes.
the teams at the schools for doing an extraordinary
Yes,
job.
thank you. It's incredible. The Wild,
Can I just add for
Sure.
1 second? It's a great book. Parents, please read this with your children. Like, read it as a whole family. It has something for everybody.
the book for the members of the public that are watching on YouTube, again, is called The Wild Robot. So actually, we'll take a book out and hold it up for all of you to say. I urge you to read it. Some of us have attended some school functions since our last board meeting. I was at the Applegate Chorus PTO, so I'd like to give a shout out to Ms. Femiano, who did a wonderful job. There had to be 55 students up there who went around the world in song with songs from all different locations. Some were old, some were new. I was in the front row reliving my youth. It was great. So it's great to be back in the buildings and to see our students thriving again in our environment. Oh, there's the book, The Wild Robot. Okay. So some old business for the board, old business or new business. By now you would have received an email from Ally to fill out your state ethics disclosure, your financial disclosure and ethics certification. You have 30 days to get that done. So if you've ignored your email or put it off for another day, tomorrow might be the day you might want to just get it done so Ally doesn't have to track you down. One of the last items I need to address is a Facebook post by one of our board members. One of our board members posted on her own personal Facebook page a political satire in a Facebook post that many members of our parent community, our outline community, and staff, as well as some board members, found alarming and offensive because the post had a gun in it. I'm not going to opine on the Facebook post. I will only say to our staff members who are very concerned that this board, all of us, always keeps in mind the safety of our staff and students. It is a priority for this administration and this board, and there is nothing related to the post or this Board of Education that we would want portrayed otherwise. As for the members of the community who have asked me to limit social media posting, as well as perhaps have this board member removed from committees or do other things, I've directed most of your comments to the specific board member, as it should have been directed to her for her to answer you directly. But I will say this much. That is not the way a Board of Education works. Each person is elected to this board. Each person here is here because the taxpayers and the people who voted elected. It is not within my power or anyone's power to remove an elected person outside of two very specific ways via statute that a board member could be removed. So for the emails that I received, I'm not sure some of the public understand that. The other request is that all board members should limit social media. I will say that every person sitting on this board is a citizen of the state of New Jersey and the United States and has a right to free speech. Free speech is not without consequence. So if there are people who are upset with anyone's expression of free speech, I would urge you to reach out to that person. We, as fellow board members, can hold each other accountable, and there are very limited circumstances where free speech would be I wouldn't say curtailed, but where the consequence of free speech would be to censure, reprimand, or remove a board member. So I responded to all the emails and the texts received and the concerns from our staff and fellow community members that I would make a statement tonight regarding that. I hope you understand what the legal ramification is and the process is, and that is not with me or Mr. Amoroso or the administration or any of the board members here. I hope that clarifies some of the questions, comments, concerns. And with that, we will move into public participation.
Michelle, before
Yes.
you do that, I have one more announcement for the Community Alliance for Drug and Alcohol Abuse. We are hosting here in the district a speaker, Rob Holliday. It's called Vaping: What's in the Mist. It's for parents, community members who are concerned, and it is on Thursday, February 9th at 6:30 at the Eisenhower Middle School.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So actually, before I move on to public participation, I don't know if any other board members wanted an opportunity to speak. I think I've addressed it all, but feel free. Okay. So then with that, I will move right into public participation. This is the second opportunity for public participation. This is an opportunity to address the board on any item that you'd like. Please write your name and address on the sign-in sheet. State your name for the record. Statements should be limited to 3 minutes in length, should not be abusive, obscene, or defamatory in nature. If anyone would like to address the board on any item, please do so. Please step to the podium.
Hello.
Good evening.
My name is George Falcone. I live on East Freehold Road. I just have a question about, sorry, my voice is a little raspy. Subject 9, task teams, ESSER 2. Could the board provide a little more insight as to what these stipends were for and the range of dollars spent on these stipends?
I don't have the range of dollars. I can get that to you. But what task teams are designed to do is, as part of that grant, we identified needs in the district. So this allows students who require intervention or additional support by topic in the middle school more frequently. Teachers have the ability to stay with children after school or put them in interval-based interventions, like a 6-week, a 3-week after school hours during their lunches or before school, depending on the model that works best for the kids and the teachers, to give them extra support.
Okay, and this just for the record, this is the same ESSER 2 funding granted in 2021, which should tie to the school return to school safely.
It's not tied together. It's two separate things. You had
ESSER application, it wasn't stated that it was agreed to follow the return to school safely guideline.
no. You have to. ESSER 2 is there. You have to have a safe return to school plan separately that has to be updated every 6 months.
Okay.
So that's still
I
ongoing.
think I would contest that. I'll bring it next time. IOPA requested those records. So, and secondly, I just want to address the mem that was posted. The board member, in my opinion, has nothing to be ashamed of or worried about or nothing to apologize for. The people that are upset will never ever approve of the platform that this member ran on. So that being said, they don't find any sense of humor in it. They don't find any sense of irony in it. And the fact is, it just calls out the hypocrisy and the ridiculousness of their ideology on the other side. Thank you.
Would anybody like to address the board or respond?
again, not going to go into any detail about the.
Okay, yeah. You can speak.
Sorry.
She'll speak.
I'm not going to go into any detail and provide any color to this post. But I will say, as a father of 2 children in this district and a husband of a high school teacher, the best part of my day is knowing that my daughters are getting off the bus safely and that my wife pulls into the driveway safely every single day. And any, what you call it, satire, to me, satire is meant to be funny. There was nothing funny about that post. So, again, I wanted to get that on the record that I didn't find it funny, and I have legitimate reasons for that.
A lot of people disagree with you.
And they're more than welcome to disagree with me.
Right. Yep. Go ahead, Carmela.
I would agree with Michelle Lambert saying, let's not opine on it. It was a personal post. It's an opinion, and like George said, it's never going to be, there's 2 different camps. It was, I don't want to opine on it either. So I think that's where we need to let it go. There was nothing wrong or illegal or reprimandable, right? So I think we need to go with that. That's not what I, wanted to come up to say because I thought we were just kind of moving on. I was just curious. My name's Carmela Spieler. I don't know if I said that. I wanted to know about the wellness policy. I feel like I'm sitting here and I'm like, some of the things that are going on, I'm like, it's a private joke and I don't know what's going on. So what is the wellness policy with the food service? Because like, I
If you'd
feel
like to, if I can at the end get your
Yeah.
email address, I'll email you the policy. Otherwise, on our website under Board of Education, you can access the board policies. And if you search wellness, you'll find that policy. It's something that's required as one of the
well,
districts.
so are you looking for parents or community to
Uh-huh.
come in and joint venture with Sodexo?
No,
Oh.
not to venture. What we're required to do by law is that different stakeholders give feedback to how we can better improve wellness, particularly in the district, particularly with our food service vendor.
So community members could go in and do that.
Participate in the committee, yes.
Okay, can I write my email right here and then you'll have
Sure.
it? Or,
Yeah, can you?
yeah, I'm actually a registered dietitian by trade and
Okay.
yeah, I'm curious. Everybody was so afraid during COVID and wearing masks and being terrified of catching this, but the truth is like some of the lunches were just horrendous. Like kids are getting 26 grams of sugar for breakfast, and sugar just suppresses your immune system for up to 6 hours. And we're giving them waffles and all those free lunches. So I think we can definitely do better in that area. So
Do you have a child in district?
I had children in the district. Yeah.
Because we did send an alert to all parents.
Oh,
throughout the
okay.
district.
So I'm not. Yeah.
If you
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that to you and tell you how you can express your desire to be a member.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Ally
Just a
has
fol-
the policy up. It's Carmela.
Just to follow up, the policy, just to explain a little bit more clearly what the policy, the goals. So the goal of the committee is to oversee school health and safety policies and programs, including development, implementation, and periodic review, and update the district-wide wellness committee. It's so broad. Yeah, it's like,
very broad.
that didn't help much. Sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
It's so,
The approved policy.
Yeah.
and we can allow, we can get that things together. It's something we
So
probably
NTW
should have to
negotiations.
do, and we're finally putting it
An
together.
action may be
trying to get the
taken.
people.
Yeah,
Start.
we have to get people together.
Would anybody else like to address the board? Okay. At this point, I'd like a motion to go into executive session. Second. Whereas pursuant to NJSA 10-412B, the Board of Education may exclude that portion, the public from that portion of a public meeting at which the board discusses any of the matters described at NJSA 10-4-12B items 1 through 9. Now therefore be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, the Board of Education shall conduct a closed session pursuant to the personnel and legal exceptions prescribed by NJSA 10-4-12 for the purposes of discussing pending or anticipated litigation, a settlement agreement, and pending or anticipated contract negotiations with the TWU. For those board members that were expecting another item on executive session, it's being moved until February 7th since Mr. DeVita couldn't be here this evening. And write this. Possible imposition of a civil penalty.
These two.
Those two. Okay.
Anticipated litigation and contract.
Okay. It is anticipated the length of time of this executive session will be 45 minutes, and action may be taken in public when executive session ends. Be it further resolved that said discussion may be disclosed to the public when the reason for discussing and acting upon it in closed session no longer exists. So at this point, we have a first and a second. We're going to move into executive session. For those of you that would like to remain to close out the rest of the meeting, we're going to have to ask you to wait outside until the executive session is completed. For those of you that are not staying, I thank you for coming out this evening and joining us in our board meeting, supporting us. Thank you.